All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Nerd Talk podcast, Nerdy Talk for Nerdy Fans. I'm your host, Remington Kais. Today, we got a very special guest in the building. Joining me today is someone who's been making waves in the indie comic book scene. He's the founder of the creative lifestyle brand Hustle Matters. He's also the creator and mastermind behind the comic book series Phantom Force, co-created with none other than the Power Ranger legend Blake Foster. He's a visionary storyteller, artist, and all-around creative force who's bringing old-school comic vibes into the modern age with mystery and pure adrenaline. Please welcome to the show, Aaron Cooney.
Coney, but thank you, man.
Coney, my bad.
It's like Coney Island, you know. I don't know.
Yeah.
The diner or even the place in New York, but yeah, man. I appreciate that, man. That was a dope intro. Thank you.
Absolutely, man. Hey, I see you're always doing cool stuff. You got your friends with Will, or you did stuff with Will Smith, worked with Will Smith, and you're friends with Blake Foster, and then you're kind of everywhere, you know.
I got my hands in a few things, you know. A few things for sure.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me, though. This is cool. I appreciate you reaching out. You know, any opportunity I can have to, talk about the Phantom Force and what we have going on over here with Hustle Matters is, a blessing.
And Phantom Force is just such a great comic, you know. It really takes that Power Ranger inspiration, but brings it to like a modern age. Something I've been saying Power Rangers should have been doing from the jump, because if you look at stuff like Marvel and DC, they were once considered a child brand at one point, right? And like through the modern age, they've been able to like grow up with their audience a little bit. And like make more mature stuff, like the Snyder movies and even like the animated movies and like stuff like Young Justice and Earth's Mightiest Heroes and stuff that's kind of like, it's not rated R, but it's like PG-13.
It takes some thought and emotion and real life experiences, and those that like you said, it's not the most serious thing out there, but like Young Justice was like show for young adults or right. Adults. Like, it was a great show. So it's like, yeah, you're right, for sure.
But it wasn't so inappropriate where like, older kids could watch it.
Exactly. I'm not sure where Phantom Force sits on that spectrum, because we do deal with some mature themes and are a bit more graphic with the violent, like in Invincible. And it's so funny because a lot of parents have been buying this book, and like I'll autograph them and they'll be like, can you make it out to my kid? Can you make it out to my son? I'm like, well, how about mom and dad read it first and then decide if, it's cool for the kids. But, kids are exposed to so much these days that I don't even think the Phantom Force is too mature for them. But I do like to, preface it that it's not going to be Power Rangers.
Listen, when I was 13, I was reading stuff like Invincible and Walking Dead and stuff, that 12 to 15 kind of demographic, they're craving that older stuff, the older kind of content, because you're at that weird age where you're like, I don't want to be taken as a kid, but not quite ready for like more adult stuff.
1,000%. You want to get your feet wet with adult themes and contents without having to be like thrown into that world fully yet. And so I agree. I think it is for all ages, but to each his own how you raise your household. So just know there's sex, blood, and profanity in there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What kind of inspired creating Phantom Force? Was there a specific moment or idea that like sparked in your head, hey, I gotta make this?
Absolutely. Sorry, I've been managing Blake Foster pretty much since I moved to California in 2013. So like right when I graduated college, I didn't have a job out here. I didn't really have a plan. I just knew I wanted to work in entertainment. And prior to that, I had been doing like graphic artwork for like Walter Jones and Blake Foster and Steve Cardenas and people.
Yeah, I've seen you did some stuff for Walter. Yeah, I've seen
some stuff for everybody. He's also one that I manage and book for, so we got a good relationship. But yeah, so I was doing that, and so I came out here just on a hope and a dream, and then being here, just being at Blake's house and hanging out, I had so many conversations with him and his mom about wanting Power Rangers to bring him back, or like, what if Justin could come back and be a mentor, or lead the team and be the Red Ranger, or come back as the Sixth Ranger, or all these ideas. And then the more I managed them, when we traveled to shows and conventions, that would be the number one question fans would ask, is like, what do you think happened to Justin? Would you ever come back to the show? Da 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 da. Would you want to be the Red Ranger if you could? Would you want to stay blue? Would you rather be a Sixth Ranger? All these things. And so I'm like, well, let's do something with that. You know what I mean? And so back in 2015, a couple years after moving, I started to conceptualize what I actually was calling it at the time was called The Return. And I think it's hilarious that Amy Jo, took that title, and I'm like, well, we can't use that anymore. It was originally a story adapted about Where's Justin Now, and I was gonna pitch it to Boom Studios. I had a contact over there that was like, I got you on a pitch meeting, and then I called JDF and I told him about the pitch meeting and my concept, and he said, don't do it. He was like, don't take this idea to Power Rangers. He was like, that idea is sick. He was like, do it for yourself. He was like, tweak it, edit it, make it an original IP, and that way you can retain creative control. You can see the profits. He was like, when you partner with a big company like Power Rangers, no disrespect to them, not down talking them, but he was like, they're going to want to keep most of the money and control the creative. And, there's going to be certain mature themes that you're going to want to tackle that you're not going to be able to tackle because Power Rangers doesn't go there. And he was like, so if you really want to be able to take it where you want to take it. And so I took that idea and we went back to the drawing board and we stripped a lot of it away. A lot of the stuff that made it Power Rangers, like we kept the core things of this character, what he was going through, and some of the elements at play. And then we built an entire new story around it. And that's where Phantom Force was born.
Now, I got a question about that, about the JDF stuff. Was this before or after he had pitched the Legend of the Emerald Dragon to them?
Was this before or the White Dragon or Emerald?
So it's whatever. The Legend of the White Dragon started off as Legend of the Emerald Dragon, and they tried to work with Power Rangers, and Saban didn't pick it up.
I think this was after. I'm not quite sure. The only thing he articulated to me was that, I hope I'm not spilling. He's not here anymore, so I don't really like talking on him. But he told me that he came up with Lord Draken, basically. I don't know if he did that with Aaron over at Bat in the Sun, or he did it independently. I'm not sure, but he was kind of like, man, I gave them Legend of the White. I gave them Lord Draken, and they're eating off Lord Draken. And he was like, we made him $1 billion in the 90s, and he was just like, I can't do that again. But I'm not sure. Go ahead.
From what I remember, it was, that's how like that Old Man Tommy comic book that Boom Studios released. That's how that kind of started, was him pitching the Legend of the Emerald Dragon.
That makes sense. He told me, he always used to tell me he viewed Tommy a lot like Wolverine, like what Wolverine was for the X-Men, was Tommy was for the Power Rangers, and Old Man Logan. He loved that story and he loved that character, and so it makes sense that he would want to do something in that vein for his character. But yeah, there wasn't too much to it. He was just like, loved the idea. He was like, they do need to do something with Justin, but make it your own thing and make it a new thing. And so
that's something I'm shocked Saban wouldn't have stepped up to, like some of these older Rangers and be like, hey, we could use some of you guys coming back, especially the guys who are doing crazy stuff like the MMA and all that, and have really built their name for themselves in other avenues. Like, you would think that'd be like, hey, let's get them now,
Yeah, you would think, man, but it just, I don't know what goes on in those boardrooms, and I wish I was in them. From my understanding, at the time, because ownership has changed hands and productions have changed and so much. So I don't really know the current state of Power Rangers, but at the time, if you weren't Mighty Morphin or the current show that was on television, they didn't really care too much about you, and they didn't really invest much into those franchises. And so, yeah, it would have been cool. I think they really had a unique opportunity with Blake and the character of Justin just because he's one of one. And so it's like you can bring back other Rangers like Kat Sutherland and Steve Cardenas, and they've done things like, you know, Jason Fong, but it's like you had one person in this 30-year franchise who was a kid when, or Power Ranger when he was 12 years old.
Right.
So the opportunity to bring him back, it writes itself. Like, you've done so many other stuff. Why would you not do that? And so them not doing it, man, you know, one man's trash is another man's treasure. I just took it as an opportunity. I was like, let's stop waiting on them. I was like, let's just tell our own story. And we don't have the budget to do live action or an animated IP right now. But all of those things, all our favorite movies and animated, they derive from comic books. And so I said, let's start with a comic book. Let's write and flesh out and tell a very dope story. And let's see what happens.
And that's kind of how I started with my novel, Galactic Guardians. It's because Power Rangers has been such a kid IP for so long. I thought, hey, I bet I could do this as like a PG-13 property. I've been talking about it for like 10 years, and you know, somebody said just do it. Yeah, you got it right there. Yeah, man. Gotcha. So, like, I was like, I bet I could write this as a PG-13 property since they're not doing it, and I'll just put it under a different name, and I'll incorporate a bunch of other franchises that have influenced me, like Dragon Ball Z and Transformers and stuff like that. Now, Phantom Force feels like a love letter to classic tokusatsu teams. What were some of your biggest influences when you were writing and developing this?
Yeah,
I mean, obviously, the Power Rangers, you know.
Yeah, obviously, Power Rangers was like the foundation to a degree. I drew inspiration from Arrow, the CW show, because the way that they're telling a present-day Green Arrow story, but to get to know present-day Green Arrow, every episode has a flashback to what happened on this island to make him who he is today. And so we kind of tell our story in two storylines similar to that. There's a lot of callbacks and flashbacks to understand what happened to our main character as a child, to understand why he is the way he is today. So Arrow was a big influence. Young Justice was a big influence. I'm trying to think. Cobra Kai was a big influence. Just the concept of getting back to karate and getting back to the dojo and having these older guys, you know, dust it off and really tell a unique story, but still that works really well in the ethos of what already exists. So that was an influence. Invincible for sure, and just the mature nature of that and the off-worldness and there's a lot of influences. Everything that I kind of consumed, and I'm a big comic book superhero fan. I just kind of channeled it into this story.
I really like how you had some throwbacks to Power Rangers in there, like, you know, the character's Dustin, right?
Yeah.
How he has the White Ranger action figure, and like some of the names are callbacks to like Mighty Morphin and like other Power Ranger series. What was kind of your personal connection to Power Rangers growing up?
It's a good question. Because everyone thinks I'm like a huge Power Rangers fan now, and the truth is, I'm not. I'm friends with most of them, and so like I appreciate them, and I'm in love with the concept from my childhood. And so as a kid, they just struck gold, man. It was one of those things where it was like they weren't like every other superhero. They had a lot more. Spider-Man was one of my favorite superheroes, and so the Power Rangers are very Spider-Man adjacent, to where they're not like Clark Kent or Bruce Wayne or Tony Stark or these grown men with jobs and money and stuff. He was a kid that had to go to school, and he was broke, and he had problems, and so I think Power Rangers, that concept of just having to go to school and then fighting crime on the side and no one being able to know about it, I thought that was just so cool. And not being like a superhero 24/7, like you punch Clark Kent, you're punching Superman, right? But like the fact that they had to change into it, that was just so cool. It's like they could turn it on and turn it off, call upon it. And so I don't know, I was always in love with the general concept and the blueprint. Like you said, when I was a kid, it was fantastic. They were giving me everything I wanted. And then just as I grew up, like it's like, man, I want to take the kid binoculars off, but I still love the concept. You know what I mean?
And I noticed you got like a Spider-Man, like Tobey Maguire Spider-Man poster in the background. You got Vegeta. Was Dragon Ball Z kind of like a big influence with you as well?
Absolutely. That was my first anime. My cousin Julian, he got me into anime, and it started with like Akira and Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball Z and then Pokemon and stuff. So yeah, Dragon Ball Z was huge for me. And I just remember being at school one day and everyone's talking about this action cartoon, Dragon Ball Z, and I have no idea what they're talking about. And my dad, I didn't have cable growing up, right? So everyone's talking about Goku and his character. And I was a cool kid in school, and for the first time, I literally had nothing to contribute to the conversation. I'm like, what the fuck is, I got to figure this out. And so my cousin put me up on, and I was able to, I hopped in right as Vegeta and Nappa were coming to Earth, and they were fucking everybody up, waiting on Goku.
Oh yeah, man, that shit was crazy.
Oh, wait till Goku gets here. Will Goku get there in time? I'm like, who the fuck is Goku? I'm like, why is all this stock being put in this one character? And then he showed up, and they got down, and I was like, oh, this show is different. And so ever since then, man, Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, I'll tell you where I started with Dragon Ball Z is when they did the Burger King Kids Meal toys.
Okay.
I think that was back in 02 or 03. They had all Happy Meal toys, and I got Piccolo, and I got Super Saiyan 3 with Goku or something. I have it somewhere around here, but I still have the figures and stuff like from back in the day. Like that shit was was legit. And my buddy used to get like the Japanese subbed version on VHS before they would air on TV. So we were watching the Cell Saga before it was even releasing on Toonami and all that.
That's what my cousin Julian did. He would come over and bootleg everything, be showing us, you know, sub stuff, and I remember identifying with Gohan because my cousin Julian's older than me. My brother Daniel's older than me. All my cousins, for the most part, are older than me. So I was always one of the younger ones, so I related to Gohan. And I remember my cousin Julian coming over to be so excited to tell me Gohan beat Cell. And I was like, what? I was like, how? And he was like, bro, let me just say. He was like, Kamehameha this big, Gohan this big. And I was like, what? And he was like, don't trip. I'm going to show you. And so he whipped out the sub. And yeah, man, that was it for me growing up.
Back in the, this before, I think my first Dragon Ball Z game was on the PS1. We used to do like the fighting. It was like a fighting game. I think it was like Super Dragon Ball Z or something. Yeah. It's like arcade style.
Yeah, I had that on PC.
So I was big into Dragon Ball back in the day. That was my shit.
You're gonna see. Oh my bad, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
Dragon Ball and anime infused into our story as well. Like even if you there's a flashback scene that Courtney talks about in the book, and in those couple pages you can kind of see the anime influence in the paneling and the action and the art.
When they're up against the bee dudes and stuff, I was like, some of the fights in there, I was like, oh man, this got to be very anime inspired, you know?
Yeah, it definitely is, and that was fun. And those bee-like creatures are called swarms.
Swarms, and okay.
Our version of actually, let me not say.
It's funny because in my book I have something very similar, except he's a honeycomb guy but he controls bees. So it's funny, the creatives, we both thought of something similar like that,
I mean, I'll say they're like our versions of putties, so you're gonna see these guys several times. But yeah. It's yeah, man. Creatives, great minds think alike, but it was fun, and you're gonna have a lot of action. And we just wanted to tease some action and kind of show you how we get down, because as they get into their powers and the battles and stuff, we're gonna kick up I'm
excited to see like battleizers or like stuff like that. I'm really excited to see how it progresses.
For sure.
Now, how involved is Blake Foster in the creative process with the book?
He's not very involved in the creative process. He's an actor, and
Hmm.
so most actors you'll find aren't unless they have other things about them, and that's where you'll see actors who become writers or like Amy Jo Johnson, actors who become directors. He doesn't really have those things, but he's involved creatively more so as a consultant. And so
Okay.
I'll kind of, me and the team, it's a team of three of us, we'll kind of talk our story and then I'll run things by him. And you know what I mean? And see how he feels about this. I'll be like, yo, we're going to do this. We're going to have these kind of powers. Or what do you think of this? And then he'll say, if he likes it, and he's like, no, we shouldn't do that. What if we did this? Or, and even down to like when you say what's his involvement in the creative process, a lot of it is indirect. So
Hmm.
just him being my best friend and just the conversations we've had over the last 15 years, a lot of that has been put into the book. So he didn't directly like say, I would love for this to be in there, but he doesn't know it came from him. Prime example, you mentioned the kid holding the White Ranger toy.
Yeah, man.
Blake tells a story all the time of how he would run home from the school bus to watch Power Rangers, and he has a picture on his Instagram. He tells you, like, I've seen his collection of Power Ranger toys before he was ever on the show. And the White Ranger was his favorite. And all he wanted to do when he got Power Rangers was, I can't believe I get to do martial arts with JDF. And so I took that and put it into the character. You know what I mean? I personally like the Green Ranger more, but the more reason he's holding the White Ranger is because Blake liked the White Ranger more. And like, so it's that concept of like Blake was a fan holding that toy, and then he's beside this guy. He's one of them. And the same exact thing happens
But
to that.
I'll give you this. I like the Green Ranger too, but the White Ranger shows growth. It's almost like a transformation. It's like Goku's great as regular Goku, but when you add Super Saiyan, that's the next step. So I kind of like the White Ranger. I didn't like as much when he became the Red Ranger. I feel like he peaked at White Ranger. You know.
I agree. But
Uh,
yeah, um, there's a lot of influence though, going back to Blake and the character being an MMA fighter.
yeah, I
That's
noticed that too. Yeah, yeah. I was like, there's a lot of parallels to Blake in real life.
Yeah, Morph Gym is, while it's like a nod to Angel Grove Gym and Juice Bar, what it really is where Blake trains. It's called Gooch Training Academy, GTA. And
Hmm.
so it's like a lot of the story just in itself has Blake's fingerprints all in it. He just doesn't realize it.
Were there any major storylines or characters that didn't make the cut that maybe they'll appear later? They're just completely gone from the production.
Yeah, yes. Let me think because I've been dialed in on the current, but absolutely. Being one of the characters, um, one of the characters had a mother that had a much more prominent role. We cut her out. The villains had someone else on their team that was kind of like a callback to Mighty Morphin, a Mighty Morphin villain or a combination of them. Loosely thinking, if there was a character that was, and we still may use her, like I said, moving forward. So I don't want to say too much, but almost like if you can suspend your belief, you can create the connective tissue between Power Rangers and Phantom Force. It's just not the same IP. So essentially, there was a character we created that if Scorpion and Goldar had a kid, what would that character be? And so that was one of the villains, but we scrapped that character. Um, yeah, there was a lot of things. Alpha was in the original thing, but after my talk with JDF and we flipped it, he got cut. And there was a really cool scene. The first scene that I wrote actually was a scene of Justin at the time finding an old chip and then realizing it was the hard drive and the AI to Alpha. And this was years
Mm.
later. And so it was cool when he finally booted Alpha back up and they were able to like see each other again for the first time in 15 years. That scene was pretty cool. But there's no more Alpha, and this isn't Power Rangers, so that got cut too.
How has the Power Rangers fandom received Phantom Force? How has the Power Rangers fandom received Phantom Force?
Positively. It's interesting. I thought they would be quicker to pick it up, but one thing, like I'm finding myself having to sell it, and I'm like, why do I have to sell something so hard that you guys clearly like? But people like Power Rangers, and there's something associated with that trademark logo, with that theme song, with those suits, and with those characters, that even if it's like Power Rangers, it's not Power Rangers. And so I still have to jump over that hurdle trying to get people to pick it up. But when they do pick it up, the response has been great. People love it. People are like, this is genius. I don't know why Power Rangers didn't do this. Like, bro, this is Justin's story. This is what we've been waiting for. This is more mature. Like, hearing them say everything that I wanted them to say has been so gratifying. But then there's also the toxic part of the fandom. And the toxic part of the fandom hates on it before they give it a chance. They think they know it before they've read it because they see these characters that look like the Turbo Rangers, that have similar names, you know what I mean, without understanding that we're unpacking a larger story here. And I'm like, give it a chance. They're like, oh, this is just the bootleg Turbo Rangers and you added Zach, or this is just, I'm like, that's what it looks like, guys. But I was like, why don't you try reading it?
Right.
So,
hey, I think you took the best part of the Turbo outfits and made something of your own, And I think the Turbo outfits are one of the best looking Power Ranger costumes, like of all the franchise, And I feel like if you could take those suits and make a darker storyline, like you would have like something really good there, just as iconic as Mighty Morphin.
That's essentially what we did, man. And like, I will say one thing that I am super prideful about is that I feel like there's no mystery to superhero storytelling anymore. Mm-hmm. And I feel like the studios and the executives, they have to ensure they make their money. And so they put out everything to make sure you go get that ticket or buy that book or whatever. To whereas, like, I remember growing up not knowing what was going to happen next. We didn't have 24/7 reporting. We weren't on the set. We didn't leak shit all the time. And so I'm like, with this one, I'll just say, like, for everyone that thinks they know what it is or where it's going, you probably don't. And I'm very excited. And no one's really, I haven't seen anyone that has a theory that's been right about where we're taking this story on the internet. Mm-hmm. And that makes me happy. Like, people are like, is that Justin's son? Is that them? Are these the Phantom Rangers? Or this is like none of that. You know what I mean? So I love that. And yeah, I'm just excited for people to hopefully pick it up, keep reading, and then be surprised when we actually do start to show some.
Now you have your brand Hustle Matters here, right? Is there a dream actor, artist, or like rapper that you would love to collaborate with your brand in the future?
Yeah. To be honest, my dream collaboration was Will Smith, and that happened for me.
Man, I know. I see that. I was like, man, this is the same guy. What? It just blew my mind. Like,
it blew mine too, man. God is a great author, man, and the way that worked out and lined up, and like, who'd have thought? And I always thought, like, if anything, Big Sean, because he's one of my best friends, we grew up together. I thought Big Sean would be introducing me to Will Smith, not the other way around. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, for that to happen, for us to be cool, for him to know who I am, for us to have hung out, like, that was it for me, you know. So I got my dream collaboration. Like, moving forward, though, with Hustle Matters, that's a good question. I haven't really given too much stock into, like, who would we want to work with. It's more so, like, who wants to work with us? You know what I mean? Who believes in the motion that we got going over here? Who believes in the value that I bring to each situation that I'm in, and who believes in the underdogs that are just willing to put in the work and get it out the mud. And so anybody that is representative of that ideology, that's who I want to work with. I remember when we started, I did want to work with Nipsey Hussle because Hustle Matters, Nipsey Hussle, and just his entrepreneurial mentality from being on the block to owning the block to owning his masters and his music and taking his time with how he rolls his stuff out. I just respected everything about it. So I wanted to work with Nipsey Hussle. We used to have Alex Caruso on the Lakers, and he was such a hustle player, but he wasn't a superstar, and he was underrated. And I would fucking love for Caruso to not even get involved. If we did a partnership, that'd be cool. But even just like rock some Hustle Matters, like just have it because he's like that guy. I thought that would be cool. But yeah.
I think like honestly, I would like to see some more rappers rocking the brand. You know,
Sure.
I feel like the music gets out there so quick, and like when you got a brand and a rapper's like rocking it, like that stuff just gets out there. The music fans are like.
And the thing is, I want to actually. I've been giving all of my attention to like booking Comic Cons for talent and to this comic book and stuff. The clothes have really been on the back burner, and so I haven't pushed the clothes too much. Like the website and the shop is there, so if you buy it, we'll make it and send it to you. But I haven't really gifted it and like got it in a lot of my rapper or even actor clients because I want to design some like cooler shit before I start giving it to them. So I was like, after we get this book out and stuff and get the momentum there, I want to give some focus to the brand and really design some stuff that I'm like, that's dope. And then I'm going to gift it to them. And I'm going to send it to them with a Hustle Matters shirt and a Phantom Force comic and a hat. We just going to send them a whole care package. So yeah, when we do it, we're going to do it right.
That's awesome, man. I love the look of it. I like the colors, You've worked with, who's probably other than Will Smith, who's probably the biggest person you've worked with the brand?
The biggest person I've worked with.
I mean, we already got Will Smith out of the way
Will Smith, Big Sean, Joyner Lucas, he's a big one. Drake Bell, he's pretty big.
So you just out there, man. You just collecting names.
Schimmel, Goku, he's a big one. I'm trying to look. Yeah, we worked with a lot of people, man. It's been a blessing. I don't know if you're familiar with Jordan the Stallion.
Yeah,
Jordan the Stallion. Connected him with Big Sean and did a marketing thing for Sean's last album. So yeah, there's been a lot of different names, man. It's been a blessing.
Dream crossover with Phantom Force. If you could have any comic book company, any anime, any kind of superhero, and they the company reached out to you, which company would you want a Phantom Force crossover with?
Trying to make me pick sides. To be honest, it's the same answer as the Hustle. Whoever sees the value in Phantom Force and would want to fuck with us, mix it up. That's who I want to work with. But off top, working with the big two, Marvel or DC, would be super dope. You know what I mean? But that's like a dream. You know what I mean? The Power Rangers, who've been around for 30 years and sold billions of merch, just crossed over with the Justice League. So it's like, that's far off. Before that, to be honest, I would love, I think it would be very full circle for the Phantom Force to get to cross over with the Power Rangers. I think that would be cool, like different universe type of thing. Like maybe in our universe, they're called Phantoms, and on the one we're from, they're called Power Rangers, but we find out they're one and the same, or just like, hey, you guys look like us, and da-da-da. I think that would be ridiculously cool. And as Phantom Force goes on, you'll see that there's more connective tissue to the story to allow for something like that. Leave the door open for something like that. And then Invincible, like Image Comics, I think it would be cool.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Radiant Black people or the Invincible universe itself. I'm open.
It's funny because Invincible takes a lot of stuff from Dragon Ball Z. You can tell it's very inspired by Dragon Ball Z.
For sure. I think a lot of stuff is, man, just like one of those OG goated action properties. I also want to shout out my boy Brent Trey Sands over at Impound Comics. Even a crossover with Impound Comics would be cool.
Impound would be great too. I like Impound.
Impound's cool, and his character Anthony Ensley crossing over with Jackson Jones. They're both MMA fighters. Like whether they're on the same team or going against each other, whatever. I think that would be cool. And, you know, Black creators doing our thing, man.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Can't promote that enough.
Yeah.
Sure. I'm gonna cause a little trouble here, real quick. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. I just want to know if you're familiar with other fan comics that are in the middle of being developed. And what are some
Power Rangers ones or just in general?
Yeah. I don't know if you heard there's a guy, Rican Ranger, who's trying to work on Rise of the Ninjetti, doing a Power Ranger fan comic based off the Ninjetti people.
I don't, man. To be honest, I'm like the actors when it comes to that stuff. A lot of people talk to me about a lot of stuff, and so everyone's like doing a fan project or have a script or shooting a fan show. Everything from Deca Mexicans, musical Rangers. My boy Mark Cooper is a part of like Beast Hunters or something like that. And there's like you said, Rise of the Ninjetti. The homie Patrick is doing Rise of the Dragon, which is like
from the 2017 movie.
So it's like there's a lot of stuff out there. To be frank, I cannot keep up with it. But to me, the real test is like the same thing I'm telling myself. It's like just there's a lot of noise and there's a lot of people in the market, and so it's like if you keep going and you get good and you begin to rise above that noise and it hits my radar organically like a Power Rangers Unworthy, then cool. Then I'm all for looking. But at the same time, I've really been trying not to invest myself into reading or consuming too many other, because I don't want it to influence what we're doing.
Right, exactly.
Original, so I don't want to like borrow ideas subconsciously or anything. I'll just be like, you know, I affirm what y'all got going over there, but we cooking over here too. You know what I mean?
So where can like people buy Phantom Force? Is it available in stores? Is it online only? Are you doing it like con exclusive? Like where can people kind of go buy it?
It is online and con exclusive right now. We're gonna wait until we get at least the first 2, maybe 3 to 4 issues out before we try and start getting into comic shops, so that like people can have something more to pick up and have a story. We're definitely gonna have some conversations about distribution, but right now online at phantomforcecomic.com. We're on
I'll probably link it in the description when we're done.
And at Instagram, same thing, at Phantom Force Comic. On TikTok, we're at phantomforce.comic, because some mix-up stuff. But yeah, we're around. But yeah, you can get us online or anywhere that pretty much myself or Blake Foster will be at a Comic-Con, whether we're together or separate. We'll have the book with us. So,
yes, Are you gonna be at the Colorado convention with Blake?
I'm not sure yet. I just talked to the owner about that. There's a possibility, but I'm not going as of right now. But he'll have some books there with him for sure. I'll be around.
I'm not 100% sure, but if I'm going, I have tickets, but okay. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going.
Man, so. You got tickets, you got to get on out there.
Yeah, I don't know. I have a long distance girlfriend, and she wants to see me that same exact weekend. So it's like,
yeah, don't die. Pick your battle. But yeah, man. Hopefully I am.
What's the best way fans can support the project? Is it by following or picking it up, or?
Yeah, man. 2 ways. I don't know everybody's find the best financial situation. The best way you can support it is to buy it, read it, and talk about it. You know what I mean? Support it with commerce. The book costs $30. But past buying it, like some people buy it just to support me. And as nice as that is, I want you to do that. I want you to buy it because you want to read the story. And if you read the story, my aim is that you like the story. You know what I mean? So buy it, read it, talk about it, good or bad, man. I want to hear the feedback. If you think it's dope, if you ideas of where you would like to see it go, like that's what our Instagram is for. And I'm always looking. And then without purchasing it, yeah, just follow. If you follow us on Instagram and TikTok and share any of the content, trying to break a new IP is tough. And so I'm trying to make content while, still booking clients and doing my work. And I got a life, and I'm doing all this on the side as well as my other 2 teammates. But yeah, so just engage with the content, follow, share it if you think it's dope. That would mean the world to me.
And what final question,
Okay.
Aaron? What legacy do you hope Phantom Force will leave in the world of independent comics?
Wow. What legacy do we want to leave in the land of independent comics? Um, I just want to have my name, etched among others. There's so many great creators that came before me that have upheld the comic space, um, high mainstream and indie, and so just to have my name amongst those creators, and it sit in its own right, I think would be cool. So much of what I've done, I've helped make people millions of dollars, but it's always to help uplift another company or another brand or another celebrity or their project. This is the first one that's like my project, you know what I mean? And so having it see success and it just be my baby, not really tied to anybody else, that would mean the world to me. Yeah, that would mean the world. And having a story, our story is very relatable, I think, to a lot of Black and brown kids, especially. So just having a story that helps Black and brown kids deal with the trauma that they're inevitably going to face in America growing up. And this isn't a woke comic; it's not like a political comic, but it is a story of all races, actually: white, Black, brown, biracial kids.
Which is kind of like what Power Rangers was from the beginning. It's a melting pot of different cultures and races, coming together for the greater good.
Yeah, and so just and this character, like every character, kind of has something that they're dealing with, and so this shows people how to deal with those things in a constructive manner and how to deal with them together, as opposed to trying to win every battle silently or by yourself. So if I could leave anything, it would just be, how to overcome trauma and build mental stamina, and to just have my name amongst those other creators.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you for coming on the
Thank you.
show. It was great having you. If you could just tell the fans where they can find you, social media wise, so they can support you.
You can find me at Aaron.Coney on Instagram, at Aaron Coney on TikTok, HustleMattersEntertainment.com, PhantomForceComic.com. Wherever you find us, I will be there, and I appreciate you in advance.
And I thank you for coming on. It was very special to have you on the show. I'm happy. It was a great interview, and you kept things very professional, and it was answered really good questions. I'm sure fans are going to want to hear it.
You asked some great questions, man, and I appreciate you reaching out and, just like you said, wanting to talk about my book and this creation, because I think it's so dope, and I want everybody to read it. So read it. Let me know what you think, and we'll talk soon.
All right. Peace out.
Yes, sir.
Hey, great job, man.